Okay, good morning. Good morning, everybody. I'm sure you're enjoying that lovely bit of music there. And welcome to the Southern Star's very first webinar on how to drive sales during lockdown, how to make online content marketing work for you and for your business, particularly during level 5, and also because we're only a few weeks away from Christmas. We're delighted to have you on board today. Thanks for joining us. If I could just introduce myself, my name is Sean Mahan. I'm the Managing Director of the Southern Star. I'm also joined by my colleague, Jack McCarran, our Digital Manager at the business. I'm working from the Southern Star studio in our HQ here in Skibbereen, and Jack is working from home. He's in a top secret location somewhere in West Cork. So great to have him on board here this morning as well. We're going to keep today's session to somewhere between 35 and 45 minutes. We want to keep it brisk. We're very conscious and we do value your time. We are recording the session as well, so we'll send that around to everybody afterwards on a link so you can watch it again or share it with colleagues. If there are any problems in terms of either seeing us or hearing us, just use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen and Jack will see any message that you send in and he can always try and help you out, but hopefully everything is working as it should be. Why are we doing a webinar online at the Southern Star? Well, we found it interesting that obviously we're all doing Zoom meetings and Google meetings online. We have been doing for the last year almost, but we saw a report recently from McKinsey, the big global consultants, and it was very interesting that what they were saying was that even though we're all doing this now, that we shouldn't fall into the thought process that this is just something we're going to do to get through the pandemic and maybe a little bit of this afterwards. They could see actually a structural change taking place in how businesses not just have meetings, but how they present to customers or prospective customers, etc. So we do a lot of podcasts at the Southern Star, but this is something that we're now moving into as well so that we can get in front of our existing customers and any new customers for the future. So we're quite excited to be doing this today. And again, thanks for being here with us. Our main objective today is that you learn something, that you take something away from this webinar. That's the goal for us, and it's great to see some of there's a diverse number of businesses that we've got on the session today. Just looking at the list now, we've got estate agents, we've got retailers, a motor dealer, a couple of restaurants, a brewery, solicitors, accountants. We've got a beautician. I can see we've got a marketing consultant and 2 other newspapers, I think, as well. So Jack, we better be on our A game today. So moving swiftly on. Questions. If you do have any questions throughout the session, again, use the Q&A function at the bottom. They'll go through to Jack. Jack will have a look at them. If we've got time at the end, we'll cover off the questions. And if we do run out of time, we'll then come back to you directly with an answer, or we'll also email an answer around to everybody that's been on the session today. So we're going to get cracking. Let's bring up today's agenda. We've kept it quite simple. We're going to take you through an explanation, definition of what is content marketing. We're then going to look at some online content marketing examples in practice from the wider world, the wider marketing world. We're going to talk about what online content marketing can do specifically for your business. What are the benefits of this kind of marketing? And then the last part of the presentation will be about how the Southern Star can help and a few examples of how we're working with local clients in West Cork to execute this type of marketing. So what is content marketing? That's the big question. Well, here's the textbook definition. Content marketing is the process of creating, distributing, sharing, and publishing useful information to influence your target audience. But I think in a nutshell, really what we're doing here is it's creating a piece of information that ultimately, I'm going to pick out that word, is useful. It's a piece of information in whatever format that might be and however it's presented, but it's useful to a target audience. It could be your existing customers, or it could be potential new customers, or it could be both. So that's what we're going to be talking more about today. I think the next key point to make is that content marketing is part of your overall marketing mix. It's not a substitute for all other types of marketing. So depending on what kind of business you are involved with, you may be doing radio advertising, you may be doing newspaper advertising, lots of social media marketing or online marketing. But content marketing is another asset in your marketing mix, which will allow you to specifically target a certain kind of goal or a certain type of message that you want to get out about your business. The next point that we'd like to bring up is what we call the 5 E's, the 5 E's of content marketing. And this is something that we try to apply whenever we're doing some content marketing for the Southern Star, or indeed when we're working with our clients on their own marketing. And the first one is engage. Sounds quite obvious, but it's critical that whatever you do, again, in whatever format it's done in and whatever the topic is, that it's engaging. It's really, really important to engage the attention of your target audience. So at the end of the day, you don't want to do something that's a bit dull or a bit boring or isn't going to catch the attention, and therefore nobody's going to go to the trouble of reading or watching whatever it is that you produce. I think the next point is critical, and it kind of ties in with that useful word that I actually might just flick back a slide, Jack. It ties back with that useful word that I mentioned a minute ago, which is educate. Really focus. I think the key thing about content marketing is that it does educate the audience, that they take something away from consuming the piece of content that you create. And if you can do that, that's really, really valuable in terms of building that relationship with that consumer. The next E is about infuse. At the end of the day, you want one of the reactions, the outputs from this, to be that the person that's consumed it is enthusiastic about doing something next. They're enthusiastic about you, your business, your brand, your products, your service, finding out more information, whatever it might be. Entertain is the next D. Now it's in brackets, and that's really just because use with caution, basically, depending on the type of business that you are and what it is you're trying to get across. If there's an opportunity to entertain, that's another great way to engage people. But if it's a topic that might be relating to, I don't know, health, or it could be relating to funeral expenses, for example, then it may not be appropriate to use entertain, obviously, in those kind of contexts. And the last E is a really critical one. So you've gone to all the trouble of creating a nice bit of content and getting people enthusiastic and engaged, and you've taught them something, but then explain to them what you want them to do next, whether it's to contact you, whether it's to buy a product or service, whether it's to ask for a callback, whatever it is, be very clear about what the call to action is and explain that to them. So I think the final thing, just to wrap up kind of the definition of content marketing, is to add value. So again, keep coming back to that through whatever you're creating. Keep thinking, at the end of the day, if I was in the consumer's shoes and I was reading this or watching this or downloading this or whatever it might be, does it add value to me as a consumer? Does it add value to my life? Does it help me live my life? Does it make life easier for me or more useful for me? And I think if you can keep those kind of values in mind as you put in this content together, then you're operating in the right territory, and it's what differentiates content marketing a little bit from standard advertising or online advertising or the other parts of the marketing mix. So the next section of the presentation is just to look at a few online content marketing examples in practice. And I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Jack, who is going to walk you through a few of the different types of content marketing that exist. Jack.
Yeah, hi everyone. As Sean mentioned earlier, I'm the digital manager at the Southern Star, and we're going to talk now just about some examples of online content marketing. And if any of what Sean has said so far sounds in any way daunting, it really shouldn't. Content marketing is one of the easiest and most cost-efficient ways to increase inquiries and ultimately drive sales, which is what we're here today to try and help you do. Most of you probably engage in some form of content marketing on a weekly, if not daily basis, and something as simple as posting your opening hours on Facebook every morning could be viewed as a form of content marketing, because it serves two purposes. It's providing useful, important information for your followers. And if even one person views the post and decides to visit your business off the back of it, you've created a new opportunity to make a sale. Just some other examples of what could be considered online content marketing. I'll just run through this list quickly. So any social media post, a blog on your website, sponsored or native content, podcast publishing, publishing of ebooks or brochures, a reader survey, videos, infographics, or even hosting a webinar. So what we're doing here today could be considered online content marketing. Now let's talk about some actual examples in practice. And the first one we're going to talk about is in an international context, and it's called sunbathing, expectation versus reality. And this was online content marketing carried out by Cancer Research UK. And it's a good example of a listicle. And listicle is a term I'm sure most of you are familiar with. A listicle is just a simple piece of writing or content presented in the form of a list. And this listicle, containing humorous content, appeared on BuzzFeed. BuzzFeed is a popular news and entertainment website I'm sure many of you are also familiar with, and it was sponsored by Cancer Research UK. And by including humorous examples of relatable scenarios, Cancer Research UK seamlessly spread awareness about a very serious message: wear sunscreen when spending extended amounts of time in the sun to avoid the risk of skin cancer. So most people don't want to spend their time reading about the dangers of sunbathing. So presenting the content in this way was a really effective way to get the message out there. And listicles are popular because they require minimal effort for the consumer or the reader. They're short, they're sweet, exactly the type of content that works well online. And the fact that BuzzFeed are famous for their listicles meant Cancer Research UK were able to reach as wide an audience as possible with this message. And although this is an example in an international context, it is something that could be repurposed for a local audience, Sean.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the kind of example where you could imagine a local chemist or a chain of chemists locally could run a similar kind of idea. They could run this in May or June. And the whole idea is that they're getting the message out that says to parents, to mums and dads, look, this is a really important subject, but don't just go and buy sunscreen, buy it from us because we have the full range of sunscreen. But not only that, and I think this is where you can really make it work effectively, come into our chemist and we will advise you on the best type of sunscreen for you and your family and your children, depending on what your circumstances are or whatever. And I think therefore it just gives you the ability to not only sell the product and the service, but to build that connection with the target audience and that key word these days, trust. And if you can differentiate yourself in that respect, then that's a really powerful asset for your particular chemist shop, say, versus any other chemist shops down the road.
Okay, the next example we're going to look at is one in an Irish context, so one that may be more relatable to us here today. And it's basically, would you work from home forever? Now, this was a collaboration between Science Foundation Ireland and the journal.ie in the form of an interactive reader survey. And this reader survey is a really good example of a business providing their customers with an incredibly useful source of information in the form of a survey that now affects all of our lives, as the survey is entitled, Would You Work From Home Forever? So a lot of us are working from home at the minute. As you can see now, I'm sitting in my living room, and we've all had this discussion with our friends, our colleagues, our family. So an article and a survey of this nature is sure to generate plenty of engagement. And it's also the perfect way for Science Foundation Ireland to spread the word about Science Week 2020, one of their flagship events, as there's a good chance that there would be some crossover between the audience for a survey of this nature on one of Ireland's biggest publishing platforms and Science Week. So the idea and execution are simple but extremely effective. And Sean, I know you have quite a bit of experience using surveys as a form of content marketing.
Yeah, I've worked in marketing for a long time, in media and marketing, and often use surveys. And again, I think it's one of the simplest and most effective ways to do a number of things. Obviously, to get, to build some awareness. But if you think about it, almost every day we'll all turn on the radio or the TV or whatever online, and we'll see something that says 75% of Irish people XYZ, whatever that topic might be. So it's a great way to not only, again, connect with a target audience by running the survey in the first place and promoting. In this respect, they wanted to publicize Science Week, but it's also another great way that if you do it right, it can be picked up by media, both local media and national media. And because, let's face it, local media and national media are often looking for different types of content, both serious and sometimes not so serious. And so a survey which reveals that 75% of Irish people, whatever, want to work from home is something that is quite interesting and quite newsworthy. And therefore, the survey has been run by your business, in this respect, Science Foundation Ireland. So that associated publicity for your business or for your event or whatever it might be, just gives you another way to promote it and get people aware of it. So I think surveys are a really interesting way to go. And also, you can also build data with it as well. You can build registrations. People often can be asked to leave a simple email address or a bit of, as long as you stick within the GDPR criteria, it's another good way to build a database.
So those are two good examples, I think, of online content marketing in practice. But I guess a lot of you are probably asking now, how can this actually benefit my business?
So yeah, so we'll move on now to the next bit of the session, which is the benefits for your business of this type of marketing. But I think before we just touch on what the benefits and deliverables can be, I think it's worth just I think the critical bit up front is to make sure that you have a really clear purpose in mind for the piece of marketing that you're going to put together. There's no point just going into it and saying, let's just do a nice survey on something, or let's write a nice article on something, or make a video on something. I think it's critical that you have a very clear understanding in line with your business's strategy about why are you doing this content marketing in the first place? What is the objective or the outcome? I think we're just going to roll on to the next slide in a second. So I think that's here it comes. There we go. Yeah, critical that there is a focus, and it could be a number of objectives and goals that you want to achieve for your business, or it could be just a singular part of your business that you want to focus in on. It could be more sales, or it could be higher brand awareness, or it could be building a database, or whatever it might be. But I think it's about having that clarity and then work backwards from there in terms of then coming up with the idea and the creative idea that sits behind that. So what are those benefits that it could deliver for your business? So we've listed 4 here, main ones, but there are others. But we think these are some of the key ones that you can attack with this. Number 1, it's a great way to increase your digital audience overall, whether that's traffic to your website or your social media audience. Number 2, generating leads and inquiries, and then hopefully the conversion into additional sales. Number 3, improving brand awareness, brand loyalty for your business. And number 4, it's actually another really good way to improve search engine optimization. And we'll just touch briefly on each of these benefits now. We'll just go through them one by one.
Yeah, and before I get into the first one, just to say, I noticed one of our attendees raised their hand during the last slide. So if you do have any query, just use the Q&A section at the bottom of the screen, and any questions you have, type them in there. They're all anonymous, and we'll answer them as we go. But yeah, let's move on to benefit number 1, and that's increase web traffic and grow your social media audience. So how can online content marketing make this happen? So if you were to ask any marketer or business owner what they'd like most in the world, they'll always, or most of the time, tell you they want more customers. What often comes a close second on the wish list is more traffic to their website or more followers on social media. So depending on their target audience or business model. And content marketing, when correctly executed and delivered, is an economical way to identify your brand as an industry expert, which in turn will lead to an increase in visitors to your site. And the more traffic you draw to your website, or the more engaged the following you have on social media, the more opportunities you're going to have to generate leads and new customers. It's that simple. So how can online content marketing actually help you drive leads and drive sales?
So really it just follows on from the point that Jack just made, because once the content marketing is doing the job of bringing audience to your website or your social media or both, then it's really important to think about, well, then how are we going to try and ultimately, then it's really about thinking about how you encourage that audience and that new audience that's coming on to your website to do something. So it goes back to one of the E's in the 5 E's, which was the explain. So explains them what it is you want them to do. And that could be one of a number of things. It could be just to register with you. It could be to email you and ask for a call back. It could be to buy something directly from your website. So to make sure that your e-commerce is fit for purpose and is set up. It could be to download a white paper that you've written and created and put up on your website. A white paper is basically another useful piece of information. It could be you could be an estate agent, and it could be a guide to the key steps to buying your next home. It's something that people download, but they leave you your details, and so you can then follow them up. So there's a whole range of actions that you're trying to get that audience to do. Obviously, then ultimately you want that to try and convert to sales. Content marketing isn't necessarily going to make the sale for you, but that's where you come in, or your sales team come in, or your e-commerce functionality, or all three come in to try and convert that audience that you're bringing to your website into a sale. So that's the second key benefit that we would see. The next benefit is improving brand awareness and brand loyalty. And I think the key point here is that if you think about it, again, going back to the fact that you're trying to create something that's useful to the audience, and as we said earlier, maybe educating them, that's a really powerful thing. And if you can do that right, then there's a very high chance that will be shared online, shared amongst their peer group, peer-to-peer sharing, etc. So for example, you might be a financial advisor, and you might create a widget on your website, a little calculator, online calculator, that's something very pertinent to me at the moment. It may allow you to work out how much you need to save in order to put your kids through university for the next God knows how many years. I'm looking at a long time ahead at the moment. But that's the kind of thing that somebody may come on and use. It's very useful to them. Not only does it connect them with you as a financial advisor, and they're more likely to maybe make contact with you to get some advice off you and become a customer, but they may share it with their family and their friends and other people who are in that situation. Another example we were kicking around the other day would be maybe somebody that sells barbecues, for example. Or a garden retailer in that respect, and they could produce a guide to what barbecue is right for you. Barbecues all the way from €100 up to maybe €1,000, depending on how much of a barbecue aficionado you are, basically. And even something simple, that piece of content, it could be done by video, it could be done as an article, it could be done by both. But that gets out to people who then go, crikey, this company know what they're talking about. They've got the range of barbecues. They've got something for my budget. And I know if I go into their store, then the chances are I'll get some good advice on what kind of barbecue to buy. So a great example of content marketing working in that way. On the brand loyalty side, I think it just comes back to, again, if you deliver a good experience, something that's useful, something that's going to help somebody make a better and more informed buying decision, then at the right price for the right kind of product and service, then that's going to encourage brand loyalty to your business and your brand. And if the product or service fulfills their expectations, which again the marketing can't do, that has to be the product or service, and the customer service that you put in place fulfills their expectations, this is how you build brand loyalty and how the content marketing fuels into that brand loyalty in the first place. So I think it's a very powerful way. But again, it's part of maybe thinking about doing this regularly as part of your overall marketing mix over time.
Now, the last benefit we're going to talk about today in relation to online content marketing is how it can improve your search engine optimization. And SEO, or search engine optimization, is in its most basic terms the ongoing battle we all go through to try and improve our search engine rankings in the likes of Google or Mozilla Firefox. So it's the practice of increasing both the quality and quantity of website traffic, as well as exposure of your brand through organic or non-paid search engine results. And if that sounds complicated, it can seem complicated, but it really shouldn't. Search engines are essentially like answer machines. They scour billions of pieces of content and evaluate thousands of factors to determine which content is most likely to answer your query. So if you're running a cafe in Bantry, for example, you'll want your business to rank highly for keywords like cafes in Bantry. Search engines do all of this by discovering all available content on the internet, web pages, PDFs, images, videos, by a process known as crawling and indexing. And content marketing is one of the best ways to improve your search engine optimization. So by creating content that's focused around keywords and phrases that your leads are likely looking for online, you can improve your visibility on the search engines. And a good example of SEO that works well for your business is if a well-ranked business links to your website. So these are known as backlinks. And a backlink is a link that's created when one website links to another. And backlinks also called inbound links, depending on where you're doing your reading. And backlinks are especially valuable for SEO because they represent what's essentially seen as a vote of confidence from one site to another. In essence, backlinks to your website are a signal to the search engines that other websites that may be more highly ranked than your own, they're vouching for your content. So honestly, we could talk about the importance of content marketing to your business's SEO all day. But if you'd like to learn some more, I'd recommend checking out moz.com. And if you have any questions in relation to anything about SEO, if you're finding it hard to understand or you just want some guidance, feel free to send me an email after the webinar and I'll do my best to answer any of your queries. But those are some of the benefits. And there are many, but like anything, there are also challenges.
Indeed there are. And I think one of the biggest challenges for all of us in business and all of us as marketeers, because ultimately we are all marketeers, we have to market our businesses, is the being able to cut through and stand out. So it's the number of marketing messages that these days that we're all being bombarded with, and particularly our customers and prospective customers are being bombarded with. Some pieces of research put it as high as 3,000 in a given day. And obviously that depends a little bit on your media consumption. But if you think about it, from the minute you wake up in the morning and pick up that mobile phone, you're being presented with advertising messages. You turn on the radio, you put on the TV, you sit in the car and drive to work. You're logging on at work and you're going on social media again, or you're going onto YouTube and there's adverts being presented to you. You're passing billboards, you're picking up a magazine or a newspaper. You can see very quickly how that builds up. So it's critical, and I know this is a statement of the obvious a little bit, but it's critical that whatever you do through your marketing, that you try to make sure your business can stand out from the crowd. That's the most important thing with whatever you're doing. So what we'd like to do now with just the final part of the webinar is to show you how we believe that the Southern Star can help, particularly if we think about bringing this down to more of a local level now, thinking about West Cork and the wider West Cork area. That's where the Southern Star is working with a number of clients at the moment that allows us to be able to help them stand out from the crowd against their competitive set across our region. So we're just going to move on a couple of slides, and I think we're just going to flick over. So what is the main way that the Southern Star can help? I think the biggest way, or in a nutshell, the best way that we can help is that not only can we help you create some effective online content marketing or content marketing just generally. We like to think of ourselves as being quite creative. We have our Southern Star creative team here, but we can then help you present that content to the biggest and most active cross-platform audience in and around West Cork. In other words, we're very confident we can get your message about your business in front of thousands and thousands of eyeballs, via our website and our social media and our newspaper and our magazines. That's the way we've taken the business over the last few years, to create this multi-platform approach. And really, in reality, I think it means that we're sort of getting to more people than we've ever got to before. Jack will just very briefly just touch on a couple of those audience numbers that I referenced.
Yeah, and before I do, just to say as well, we're getting some questions in, and that's great to see. And I'm not going to answer them just now. We'll keep the presentation going, but at the end, we will answer all the questions. So keep them coming in, and I'm not ignoring you, I promise. Yeah,
and I think we're doing okay time-wise, Jack. So we should have time for that.
Perfect. So yeah, let's talk about how we can get your message in front and the growth of the Southern Star's audience over the last number of years. So southernstar.ie alone has seen an incredible growth in the last 12 months. So as you can see from this slide here, the number of page views has increased by 53% in the last 12 months. So October 2019, we had just over 309,000 page views, and October 2020, we had just over 476,000. So that represents growth of 53%, as I said. And then our unique website viewers, our unique website users even, October 2019, we had 102,984, and October 2020, we had just over 208,000. So this audience growth is also represented with our social media following, which has grown to over 50,000, and that's across YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. And we haven't quite transitioned into TikTok just yet, but I know Sean is keen to get involved with some of the TikTok dance routines. So we're exploring some options there. But
Jack, I think I have a big birthday next year, and I think that precludes me from even going on TikTok.
Possibly so, but so that's kind of our digital audience and our social media audience. But of course, it won't be right to forget our traditional newspaper audience either, Sean.
Absolutely. No, I mean, look, the Southern Star newspaper is, it's got a very stable circulation, and we've still got about 50,000 readers every week. So the way I tend to describe it to a client is when we use the combination of the newspaper and the website and the social media, I describe it as the Southern Star with rockets on, because I think it is. It's a really powerful way, not only to get the message across, as I said a minute ago, to a really big audience, a bigger audience than we've ever been able to reach before. But because we're putting it across those platforms, and they can run across those platforms for a couple of weeks or so, there's a frequency of message as well. So somebody seeing the message, a customer or a prospective customer of yours, could well see your message 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, even more over that 1 or 2 or 3 week period, depending on how long the campaign is. So we're delivering reach, but we're also delivering frequency of message as well. And that can be very powerful for a business if we get the right bit of content marketing created in the first place in the middle, which is something we can help with.
And now we're just going to pause for a minute or so. Well, not exactly pause. We're going to show you a video now, which we hope can kind of sum up what we've just been talking about in a more succinct manner. So we'll just play this. It's about a minute long. So and we'll be back with some to wrap up the presentation. Yeah, so now just before we do wrap up, we just wanted to share some examples of online content marketing that we've been a part of, and we've collaborated with local businesses in West Cork on. Like, we showed you some international examples earlier on. We showed you some, some larger Irish examples. So some local examples now. And the first one we're going to show you is an example of online content marketing that we done in conjunction with McCarthy & Co. solicitors in Clonakilty. And this was entitled, "Take the Uncertainty Out of Buying or Selling a Home." So this article essentially provided people considering buying or selling a home with a simple step-by-step guide to conveyancing. And the advertiser, in this case, McCarthy & Co. solicitors, were trying to spread awareness about the fact that they provide a comprehensive conveyancing service. So you can see why this would work. It's also a really good example of evergreen content. And evergreen content, for those of you who don't know, is just content that doesn't go out of date. It revolves around a topic that will always stay relevant to readers and potential customers. So no matter what, or no matter when potential customers are considering buying or selling a house, this article will always be of use to them. And just, we mentioned earlier when we were discussing backlinks in the SEO portion of the conversation. So this article, which was published on thesouthernstarTV, contained 4 backlinks for the client's website. And readers actually spent more than 3 minutes on this web page, which naturally increases the likelihood of them clicking through, because the average time across, the average page time on the Southern Star as a whole is actually 1 minute and 30 seconds. So 3 minutes is quite a bit more. And if they didn't click through, they'll have engaged with and learned something useful that they'll know is related to McCarthy & Co. So that reiterates the idea of building brand awareness and brand loyalty through online content marketing, Sean.
Absolutely, and I think someone like McCarthy and Co. sort of embraced this. They've been working not just with the Southern Star, but they've embraced this kind of content marketing and digital marketing several years ago in terms of a really great way to sort of take a fairly traditional business model, but to reach out and to draw people into their website. And then I know, for example, on the website, they do have a guide on there, a white paper on there, a downloadable document on key advice on buying your next house. So the idea is that people are coming on and they're registering and they're making contact with the company. And then obviously a certain amount of those contacts convert into a conveyancing piece of business for McCarthy and Co. So, as I said before, this kind of marketing can apply across all different types of business sectors, whether they're professional services or retailers or hotels or motor dealers or somebody working in the health industry. It can apply across all business sectors.
Now we're going to look at another local West Cork example, and it's eye tests are about more than just glasses. And this was online content marketing we produced in conjunction with Specsavers in Bandon. Again, this piece of sponsored content is providing truly useful information, which we've mentioned several times throughout this presentation, while also driving home, and this is the key thing, a commercial message for the client. So the brief from the client in this case was that Specsavers had purchased a new piece of equipment used to carry out more detailed eye tests, and they wanted to encourage people to come in and have their eyes tested with the new machine. So we created an explainer about the importance of having your eye tested regularly. And this article was read by more than 1,200 people in the fortnight after it was posted. And the cross-platform appeal of this content was also highlighted by the fact that a video we produced to go in conjunction with this actual article was viewed over 3,000 times, again, in just a fortnight after it was posted. So I think a really good example of effective content marketing.
I think it is, Jack, as well. And again, you think about that, even 1,200 people reading an article, but even if, 5% of those people, what's that? That's about 60, I think, if my maths is right. Even if 60 people went and did something, went and visited Specsavers and took out an eye test or had this test with this new machine, and then ended up buying some new spectacles or whatever, you can see how the return on investment and the conversion can be there. I think it's also worth pointing out as well that Specsavers, like other opticians, also moved into audiology as well, and doing hearing tests and hearing aids. But again, going back to my earlier point, they needed to build awareness of that service. So they also ran content marketing with us all around the fact that you could get your ears tested and take advantage of one of these modern hearing aids through Specsavers. So that, and I know that was an effective piece of content marketing for them as well to drive that message. So yeah, they're quite regular users of this kind of active marketing with us at the moment.
And the last local example we're going to look at today is 5 tips for interior painting. So this was a listicle created in conjunction with Topline Kelleher's in Bandon. And again, this is a really good example of simple but effective evergreen content marketing. So as I said, it's billed as 5 simple steps to interior painting, with each step explained by Topline's in-house color experts. So once again, this helps build trust in the brand. The article and video that went with it really illustrate how well their in-store color expert knows what she's talking about. And cleverly as well, each step includes at least one product that is on sale at Topline and Bandon. So again, the benefits are twofold. It's providing really useful content to someone who might not even ever need to go to Topline Kelleher's in Bandon, but they'll know that if they ever do, they can be trusted because they've read their guide to interior painting. They know what they're talking about, Sean.
If we're going to decorate the home, none of us particularly want to go into a shop, pick up the stuff and end up with the wrong stuff or the wrong paintbrush or the wrong pre-treatment or whatever it is. So I just think, again, if you know there's a business here that not only is giving you some advice through the newspaper or through whatever other means you consume it, they're differentiating themselves. They're saying, come to us and we will not just leave you to walk around the shop on your own. We'll come and give you advice if you need that advice. I don't know about you, but I absolutely hate painting. I'm very enthusiastic for the first coat. I go at it all guns blazing, and then I lose interest very quickly. So anything that's going to help me do an easier, quicker, better job is attractive. But again, I just think it comes back to building a connection, building trust, building differentiation, and then following that through when the customer walks through the doors, whether it's virtually to your website or actually into your bricks and mortar store, that's when it's down to you and your staff and your products and services and the whole customer experience. But again, this is a way to get them there in the first place.
Yeah, lovely stuff. And so those are some examples of some of the online content marketing that we produced in conjunction with local West Cork businesses. And now we want to get to the moment you've all been waiting for, and I know Sean and I have been waiting for. What's on offer from today's presentation for you, our attendees?
Yeah, that was quite an awkward setup there, Jack. No, basically, we just thought, given that we're right in the middle of the lockdown, given that there's only a few weeks to Christmas, we've got a few slots available between now and Christmas. So we thought it'd be really nice, because this is our first webinar, to just put a package together at a really competitive price. So that if anybody was interested in doing one of these kind of pieces of marketing with us for the first time, it's hopefully seen as affordable. And if it's somebody who's already done it with us, they could do another one with us between now and Christmas. So Jack will just run you through what you get for that price, which is fairly comprehensive.
Yeah. So basically, what we'll do is produce an article in conjunction with you. So we'll work closely with you to create something in your voice, and a 400-word article will then be published in an upcoming edition of the Southern Star. The article will also be published indefinitely on thesouthernstarTV, and that article will find a home for itself on the Southern Star homepage for a period of 2 weeks. And the reason I include that in the list here is because the Southern Star homepage is the most popular page on our website. Around 10% of all traffic comes through the homepage, so your article will be presented to as wide an audience as possible. We'll also post the article a minimum of 6 times on our social media channels. So that can be a combination of Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It can be all Facebook if that's where you do most of your business, or all Twitter, or, as I said, a combination of all our social media channels. And also, I mentioned earlier about the backlinks and how they can help your business's SEO. Well, we'll include up to 5 invaluable backlinks within the article, so they can link to specific pages on your website's homepage, your social media pages, etc. Again, as I said, it'll be a collaboration. We'll work with you. And the article will also be published in our weekly reader newsletter. So we send a newsletter to just around 2,000 Southern Star readers every week, and the online content marketing article would be published as part of this package in that email. And as Sean said, all for $2.95, as you can see on screen.
Good. I'm conscious that we're almost bang on the 45-minute deadline, so we're just going to wrap up now. So really, just to reprise, we hope that we've managed to take you through, what is content marketing. I go back to that point. It's about creating something useful, a useful bit of information for your target audience. Why is content marketing important? It allows you to stand out from the crowd. It's another powerful thing that you can employ a few times during the year as part of your overall marketing mix. What can it do for your business? Well, as we showed you, hopefully there's a whole range of different goals and objectives it can deliver, but targeting increased web audience traffic, or trying to generate more sales leads and inquiries, et cetera, et cetera. But what's the main thing to consider before engaging in content marketing? I go back to that point. Before you invest any time or money, be clear on what it is you're trying to achieve, and then what the goal is or the objective, and then work backwards from there in terms of working with someone like us or whoever you work with in order trying to come up with a creative idea, and then how to present that idea. And that idea, as we've shown you, can work across newspaper article, video, online article. Online articles are incredibly effective because not only do people read them, but they can be promoted via social media, and they can be shared with friends and colleagues and whoever. And as Jack said right at the beginning of the presentation, anybody can do it. We hope we've shown you that through this presentation today. It's very straightforward. It is, though, again, about just thinking about who am I targeting, what am I trying to achieve, and then what's the piece of information I'm going to deliver to them. So we hope that's what you've taken out from today's presentation. Just a reminder again of the 5 E's. Make sure that you are engaging, that you are educating, that you leave the audience enthusiastic about something, entertain them if it's appropriate for your business type, and critically then explain to them what you want them to do next. So that's pretty much the end of the presentation. Jack, you said there was a couple of questions, so I think we've got time to cover a couple of off if people are happy to stay on the webinar.
Yeah, I'll rattle through some of them quickly, and we have quite a few, so I probably won't get time to do all of them, but if I don't answer your question, I will email you after the presentation with as comprehensive an answer as I can give you. And just a question that two people have asked, so this is one I can answer. It basically was, what's the name of the website again for SEO, and what was the backlinks website? So the website I mentioned that I think you should check out if you're really interested in upskilling in the field of SEO or just learning the basics. The website I would go to straight away is moz.com. So that's MOZ.com. It's basically SEO software and data to help you increase traffic, rankings, and visibility in search results. So if you really are interested in improving your search rankings, moz.com is the place to go. It's where SEO professionals across the world, they'll talk about different techniques that they use for their own particular websites and businesses. And it's where I've learned most of my SEO skills as well. So moz.com, I'd really recommend it. Two more questions. I'm conscious of time. And again, as I said, if I don't get to your question, I will email you as soon as the presentation's over. So I'm not ignoring. The first one was basically, if I already have a video, can I incorporate it with online content marketing if I was to do one with the Southern Star? Sean, you might answer that one for us.
Yeah, short answer is absolutely yes. Absolutely. If there's a video that obviously ties in with whatever is going to be written or created as an online article or a newspaper article or both, yeah, absolutely. It's very. I mean, we've done that with quite a few clients where we take their video and just embed it into the online article that we publish on thesouthernstarTV. So yes, would be the answer.
Okay, and next question. I guess I can answer this one. It's, I don't have time to write articles to improve my online content marketing. How can you help? So basically, as we showed there with the section of what's on offer, we would work in conjunction with you to produce something that appears to come from your voice, but you'll be working with one of our professional journalists or writers to produce something that speaks to our audience at the same time. So yes, absolutely. That's what we're here to do. We're here to help as much as possible. Now, there are a few more questions. I am conscious of time though, Sean, so we might wrap up, and I will get back to you. Don't worry.
Okay, thanks, Jack. So really just to say thank you. Our contact details are there on the screen. If you are interested in doing some form of content marketing with us here at the Southern Star, we'd be delighted to work with you. We'd really enjoy that. Please feel free to get hold of me or Jack or both of us. And even if you just want to have a chat about further to today's presentation, no problem at all. Thank you for your time. I want to thank Jack, if I may, for all the work he's put into setting up our very first webinar for the Southern Star. Touch wood, I think it's gone okay. Feel free to give us any feedback as our audience, as our first audience, if you'd like to. We'd love to hear it. And I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've learned something. I hope you've taken something useful out of it. We are recording it, as I said earlier, so we will send you the link. Please feel free to send that link on to anybody you want to, friends, colleagues, other contacts, etc. And I'm sure we'll be doing some other webinars in the future, which again, hopefully our business-to-business audience will find useful. That's it from Jack and myself. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of the day.
Thanks. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye.